Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aisha and you're watching Samaa News. Here are today's headlines. Peace talks between Ukraine and Russia in Geneva have ended abruptly after just 2 hours of discussions. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky described the negotiations as difficult and accused Moscow of deliberately stalling efforts to reach a deal aimed at ending the 4-year-old war. The US mediated talks in Switzerland come as President Donald Trump has recently suggested that Kiev must take further steps to help ensure the success of the negotiations. Ukraine has reduced electricity imports by 3% to around 311 gigawatt-hours last week as milder weather eased pressure on the energy system. According to analyst group Dixie Group, this marks the first weekly decline in import volumes in the past 5 weeks, while electricity exports have remained at zero for 3 consecutive months. The development follows record cold conditions in early February, when temperatures in some regions plunged to minus 30 degrees Celsius, coinciding with Russian strikes that damaged significant parts of the country's energy infrastructure. Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet says Thailand is still occupying Cambodian territory, despite a ceasefire brokered by former US President Donald Trump. In an interview with Reuters, Hun Manet alleged that Thai forces remain inside disputed areas following last year's fighting, and urged Bangkok to allow a joint boundary commission to begin work along the contested border. The Cambodian premier also highlighted improving ties with Washington, and said his government is taking action against cyber scam centers operating inside the country. The Vatican says it will not participate in US President Donald Trump's proposed Board of Peace initiative. Cardinal Pietro Parolin, the Holy See's top diplomat, said international crisis management should be handled through the United Nations rather than new political platforms. Pope Leo, the first US-born pontiff and a critic of some of Trump's policies, had been invited to join the initiative in January. Reverend Jesse Jackson, a towering figure in the American civil rights movement, has died at age 84. He passed away peacefully, surrounded by family, leaving a legacy of activism spanning over 6 decades. Born in 1941 in Greenville, South Carolina, Jackson rose to prominence in the 1960s as a leader in Martin Luther King Jr.'s Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and was present at King's assassination in 1968. Jackson twice ran for the Democratic presidential nomination in 1984 and 1988, breaking racial barriers and amplifying the voices of marginalized communities. He founded the Rainbow Push Coalition to promote social justice, civil rights, and economic equality. Leaders worldwide mourned Jackson. Former President Barack Obama called him a true giant, while President Donald Trump described him as a good man with lots of personality, grit, and street smarts. Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet claims Thai forces are occupying parts of Cambodian territory, calling for the Joint Boundary Commission, JBC, to begin technical demarcation work. Speaking during his visit to Washington for US President Donald Trump's Board of Peace meeting, Hun Manet said Thai troops remain in Cambodian land despite a December ceasefire, using shipping containers and barbed wire that prevent residents from returning home. This is not an accusation, but a statement of the facts on the ground, he told Reuters, stressing Cambodia cannot accept violations of its sovereignty. Hun Manet urged Thailand to allow the JBC to resume work now that elections are concluded. The United States has disclosed evidence suggesting China may have carried out an underground nuclear test on June 22, 2020. Seismic readings from a station in Kazakhstan indicated an explosion of magnitude 2.75 near China's Lopnor test site. Assistant Secretary of State Christopher Yeo said the data were very unlikely to be from an earthquake or mining activity, and suggested China may have attempted to mask the blast using a decoupling technique. China denied the claims, calling them entirely unfounded and politically motivated. The disclosure comes amid US efforts to involve China in new arms control negotiations following the lapse of the New START treaty.
Iran's Foreign Minister, Abbas Araghchi, says Tehran and Washington have agreed on a set of guiding principles during indirect nuclear talks in Geneva. He described the discussions as more constructive than the previous round, but said a final deal remains distant. Both sides will now work on draft texts before deciding on the next round, as US President Donald Trump continues to warn of consequences if no agreement is reached. Earlier, Iran's foreign ministry said Tehran had conveyed its position on nuclear limits, sanctions relief, and a possible framework for agreement, and progress depends on Washington avoiding unrealistic demands. Also, Iranian state media reported that parts of the strategic Strait of Hormuz would remain close as the Revolutionary Guards conduct military drills. Tehran previously warned it could shut the vital waterway if attacked, a route that carries about a fifth of global oil supplies. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has said that he will be involved indirectly in high-stakes talks between Iran and the US over Tehran's nuclear program, adding he believed Tehran wanted to make a deal. Trump told reporters aboard Air Force One that these talks will be very important. Asked about the prospects for a deal, Trump said Iran has long sought a tough posture in negotiations, but learned the consequences of that approach last summer when the US bombed Iranian nuclear sites. The foreign ministers of 8 Islamic countries, including Pakistan, have strongly condemned Israel's decision to designate lands in the occupied West Bank as so-called state land. In a joint statement, the ministers described the move as a serious violation of international law and a dangerous escalation that threatens the prospects of a two-state solution. The joint statement was issued by the foreign ministers of Pakistan, Egypt, Jordan, the United Arab Emirates, Indonesia, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar. Bangladesh Nationalist Party leader Tariq Rahman has been sworn in as Bangladesh's Prime Minister, marking a decisive political shift in the South Asian nation after his party's sweeping parliamentary election victory. Rahman, son of former Prime Minister Khalida Zia and assassinated President Ziaur Rahman, takes office facing urgent challenges, including restoring political stability, rebuilding investor confidence, and reviving key industries such as the garment sector after the prolonged turmoil that followed the Gen Z-led uprising that toppled Sheikh Hasina's government in 2024. Trilateral peace talks between Ukraine, Russia, and the United States have begun in Geneva. Ukraine's delegation head, Rustem Umerov, confirmed the start of the two-day discussions, focused largely on territorial disputes. US President Donald Trump is pressing both sides to reach a deal quickly, though Kiev says it is facing the greatest pressure to make concessions. That's all for now. For more updates, visit www.samaa.tv. Thank you for watching Samaa News.